Tonight on Retro Rides Garage, we're lighting a match in a fireworks factory, metaphorically. Mostly some cars are fast, some are pretty, and some are so catastrophically unwise that starting them feels like arm wrestling gravity. This is our tour of the deadliest machines ever to wear license plates, the one that makes seatbelts feel like suggestions and common sense pack a suitcase. Expect featherweights with the crash manners of a soda can, muscle monsters that put medieval brakes behind nuclear shove, and mid-engine toys that pirouette like ballerinas with a grudge. If it has no ABS, no traction control, and a throttle that writes checks your tires can't cash, it's probably here. We're talking cold rubber, hot tempers. Will we praise engineering brilliance? Absolutely. Will we also roast choices that age like unrefrigerated milk? With pleasure. Along the way, you'll learn why liftoff over steer is not a lifestyle, why crossplis belong in museums, and why some ignition switches had the work ethic of a sleepy cat. There will be noise, there will be smoke, and guardrails may file complaints. Think of this as a public service announcement delivered sideways at redline. Respect physics, warn your tires, and never underestimate a car born before the safety briefing. And because we care, we'll sprinkle in survival tips your insurance adjuster would knit into a sweater. Match your tires, warm your brakes, and stop believing it'll be fine as a plan. We'll meet icons that look heroic at idle and turn villain at the first damp roundabout, taxi veterans that forgot to invite airbags to the party, and race refugees that treat daily traffic like qualifying laps. Stay to the end for the car that sets off smoke alarms without moving, and the one that can turn a cloverleaf into a biography. If you like pretty danger and honest horsepower, you're in the right place. If you like safety lectures, this is one, only louder. Ready? Gloves on, ego off, visor down. Let's count down the deadliest cars ever built and see who keeps their nerve when the horizon tilts. Chevrolet Cobalt 2005 to 2010. The bargain commuter that could literally ghost you mid-corner. Brush the key ring with your knee, the ignition clicks back, power steering dies, engine naps, and airbags decide they're on vacation. In a low-speed bump that should bend a plate, the bag sometimes stayed shut like a stubborn clam, turning survivable shunts into headlines. It wasn't evil intent so much as penny-pinching hardware in a world full of potholes and teenage lanyards. The structure was light, the highway speeds were not, and the gap between what should happen and what had happened could be the size of a crash report. Engineers eventually added shields and redesigned bits. Recalls rolled, lawyers sharpened pencils, and the tiny sedan became a very large cautionary tale. Drive gently, and it would hum along like a rental trying to impress nobody. But whack the switch at the wrong time, and you discover the worst kind of weight saving, the absence of airbag. Deadliest isn't about lap times here. It's about how a cheap part made risk feel unreasonably expensive. Many owners found out when a bump or key jangle nudged the switch, the column went light, steering heavy, and the car felt like a shopping cart. Lesson: safety margins aren't optional. Tiny wee parts can carry consequences. TVR Cerbera, 1996 to 2003. Imagine a supermodel that also throws plates. Breathtaking, loud, and absolutely not here to help. No ABS, no traction control, no stability control, just a flyweight shell, a short wheelbase, and an AJP V8 that revs like a chainsaw in a cathedral. The throttle is a hair trigger, the steering is quick enough to read your mind, and the rear suspension is happy to grade your homework if you lift at the wrong moment. On wet British B-roads, it could pirouette with the grace of a ballerina who hates you, especially on mismatched tires and cold brakes. Heat soak turns the cabin into a sauna. Visibility is generous only if you're 9 feet tall, and the pedal effort can feel like leg day. Get it right and the Cerbera glows. Get it wrong and the world rotates like a screensaver. It's a driver's car in the most medieval sense. The reward for mastery is ecstasy, while the penalty for clumsiness can arrive at closing speed. This wasn't built to flatter. It was built to obey, and it takes orders in all caps. Among road cars, few made mortal fallibility feel so expensive, so quickly, and so absolutely. Seats by the rear axle mean weight shift talks to your spine. After a few hard stops, the brakes feel very wooden, and with no electronics, every correction is yours alone. Ford Pinto, 1971 to 1980. The economy car that made rear-end shunts feel like a chemistry exam. Early designs put the fuel tank in harm's way. A sharp bolt here, a filler neck there, and suddenly a minor bump could become a fire you didn't order. Cost targets were tight, weight targets tighter, And the fix at first wasn't to move heaven and tank so much as to cross fingers and sell volume. Later shields and changes arrived, but reputations age like milk, and the Pintos became shorthand for deadly design trade-offs. This wasn't about outlaw speeds, it was about everyday traffic, parking lot taps, suburban queues, stoplights where physics meets beam counting. Drivers expected little more than thrift and a radio. What they got was an unwanted lesson in crash energy and packaging. The car did many cheap car things adequately. Sipped fuel, fit budgets, carried kids. But its weak rear impact integrity meant risk hitched a ride. The awful irony is that the numbers were small, yet the consequences were cinematic. And that contrast is why this humble box earns a place among the deadliest, even if the speedometer never saw red. In memory, it never escaped the opening. The name still sparks stories of savings becoming big losses. Reminder that safety isn't optional, but the reason the car exists. Nissan Tsuru B13, 2004 to 2017. The taxi that outlived the calendar and forgot to invite modern safety to the party. Built on a 1990s shell, it soldiered on with trims that lacked airbags, ABS, or meaningful crash structures, a sort of automotive time capsule where the radio advanced faster than the body shell. In Latin NCAP tests, the Tsuru earned 0 stars for adult protection, and real roads confirmed the physics lesson. When a featherweight meets a modern crossover at closing speed, the feathers don't win. Fleet buyers love the price, mechanics love the simplicity, passengers loved the legroom, and everyone politely ignored the idea that progress hadn't just passed the car by. It had lapped it twice and flashed the hazards. High exposure amplified the risk, because a car that sells by the thousands also crashes by the thousands. Multiply weak structures by hard traffic, and you get outcomes nobody wants. The engine was honest and thrifty, the cabin easy to hose down, the driving manners unobtrusive, but survivability in serious impacts was about as current as a CD wallet. By the mid-2010s, the world moved to airbags and crash beams. The Tsuru, bless its loyal soul, kept smiling in a polo shirt. Mexico finally waved the black flag in 2017 and production ended, not because it couldn't start every morning, but because it couldn't promise you'd see every night. Deadliest isn't always the loud, the fast, or the exotic. Sometimes it's the quiet tool that worked too well at the one job it was built for, while forgetting the job that keeps you around to do it again tomorrow. Latin NCAP staged a head-on with a 2016 Nissan Versa. The Versa kept its cage. Dummies flashed colors nobody wants. The clip did what memos couldn't, showed it. Regulators frowned, Nissan agreed, and the farewell tour began. Cheap, fixable, willing, yes. But compatibility isn't a personality, it's engineering. When engineering stays behind, future writes the epitaph. Chevrolet Spark, 2011 to 2017. A cheerful city cube that's brilliant at threading alleys and buying milk, less brilliant at arguing with physics on a motorway. In safety light markets, many early trims arrived without airbags or with only the bare minimum, and Latin NCAP results for similar variants painted a sobering picture: modest structures, high chest loads, and a reminder that small plus light plus fast traffic can equal big trouble. Around town, the Spark is adorable. Short overhangs, twitchy eagerness, great visibility, and the turning circle of a shopping cart. But take that tiny mass onto a busy dual carriageway, and the margin for error narrows like a funnel. Hit an offset barrier, and you're asking a slim crash beam and a narrow front track to do the work of a linebacker. Add basic belts without pretensioners, and the G-forces go looking for soft targets. Owners love the miserly fuel bills, and the way it parked nose first into gaps other cars merely admired. Yet the same virtues that make it charming at 40 kilometers per hour make it unforgiving when the closing speed doubles. Stability at speed is fine until a crosswind stacks the deck. Brakes are okay until heat fade turns the pedal longer. Tires are cheap until puddles widen your eyes. None of this is the Spark's fault so much as its categories. It's a city tool drafted into highway duty, where kinetic energy writes the rules and mass is king. When your opponent is a crossover shaped like a wardrobe, charm and thrift aren't body armor. The Spark proves the deadliest car isn't always the one that tries to kill you. Sometimes it's the one that can't protect you when someone else does. Drivers treat it like a golden retriever. Late lane changes, phone-in-hand braking, merges. Without stability control on many versions, a lift in the wet can start a slide, the short wheelbase ends fast. Side hits, thin doors and basic bags let intrusion talk. Great city tool, exposed in the fast lane. In a fridge fight, it brings a blade. Toyota MR2 Spider 2000 to 2005. The friendliest mid-engine go-kart this side of a kart track, until you forget the rules and it grades your paper in capital letters. The recipe is pure mischief, engine behind you, very little mass ahead, short wheelbase, quick steering, and a throttle that writes checks your rear tires cash only if they're warm, matched, and not carrying 3 weeks of underinflation. On a dry morning with fresh rubber, the car is joy distilled. On a cold, damp ramp with mismatched tires, it can become a physics pop quiz. Lift abruptly mid-corner, and the weight migrates forward like passengers rushing the front of a bus. The rear goes light, yaw starts, and the small slip angle suddenly becomes the only angle. Stability control wasn't universal, and the driver education program was mostly the owner's manual plus optimism. Brakes are stout for the mass but not miraculous, and the short wheelbase means corrections must be precise now, not later. Meanwhile, the pre-catalyst drama hovered over early engines. If matrix material broke up and got inhaled, oil consumption rose, attention fell, and distracted driver plus mid-engine geometry is how curbs meet alloys. None of this makes the MR2 a villain. It makes it a coach who refuses to curve the grade. It telegraphs everything, then punishes lazy hands. A moment's daydream on a wet cloverleaf, a lift to breathe a brake, and the rotation you ordered becomes the rotation you wear. The charm is that the same traits that bite also thrill. Tiny mass, crisp response, honest limits. The sting is that the margin is narrow, and without electronic chaperones the bill for a miscue arrives at closing speed. Add a mid-corner bump, and the rear can step like a cat. Overcorrect, and it swings back. Alignment. Tires are religion. Mismatched rubber rewrites the sermon. Being light, crash math is unyielding. Airbags help, but mass and crumple space are modest. Reward for discipline is magic. Penalty for clumsy inputs, fast. 1966 Ford GT40 Mark II. A Luhmann sledgehammer with a bedside manner of a brick. Brilliant at 200 miles per hour, positively medieval at anything involving visibility, heat, or mercy. The cockpit bakes your shins, the pedals are offset like a prank, and the door cuts through the roof so you wear the car like an ill-fitting tux. At speed, it's aero-true. Offline, it's a bared teeth terrier, especially on old cross-plies and cold brakes. Crash protection? Imagine 2 soda cans as a crumple zone, and you've been optimistic. The steering is alive, the V8 roars like a marching band in a wind tunnel, and the view out is letterbox chic. Miss your mark and barriers arrive with brochure punctuality. The GT40's danger isn't the power, it's the arithmetic of mass, space, and patience. Race car first, road car by technicality. It repays perfect inputs with glory truly and punishes clumsy ones with invoices written in Armco. Deadly? If you treat it like a toy. Unfortunately, that's how legends invite trouble. 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 LS6. A cathedral of torque on bias ply tires and drum rears. A recipe that turns short straights into long stories. Rated 450 horsepower, it lights the back end if you sneeze on the throttle, then asks you to negotiate axle hop while the front grows philosophical about steering. The brakes try, the weight laughs, and the belts were hopeful ribbons in a decade allergic to crash science. On crowned 2 lanes, a quick jab becomes a long slide, because the rear leaves first, and the chassis follows with the patience of a Labrador on laminate. No ABS, no stability control, just a big cam, heavy clutch, and your best guess. It's glorious on a warm day, with very modern rubber. It's deadly in the dark with tarmac and optimism. The SS doesn't so much accelerate as rearrange scenery hard, and when the drums heat up the pedal, becomes a letter to Santa. 1996 Dodge Viper GTS. The blue stripe poster you pinned above the bed, except the poster never tried to swap ends on a damp cloverleaf. No traction control, no stability control, just a vast V10 and a chassis that answers insult with slapstick. Steering is quick enough to change your mind for you. The wheelbase is short enough to make that decision feel personal. Brakes heat soak, mass is big, and old Michelins can turn ambition into interpretive dance. On a warm day with matched tires, the GTS is heroic, linear, obedient, a hymn to throttle steering. Give it a mid-corner bump, a cold rear, or an overconfident downshift, and the tail steps like a cat over a bathtub. Recover too hard and the pendulum returns. That's how guardrails meet door handles. The cabin cooks your calves, vision is rumor. The torque curve is a cliff. Add rain, and it becomes a multiple-choice test with only wrong answers. Owners who learned its language call it pure. Owners who didn't call their insurer. It's the last analog giant that expects skill and leaves you unsupervised with it. The magic is how honest it is. Everything you ask, it does, especially your mistakes. Snap the throttle shut at the wrong angle, and yaw arrives. Reopen it, and the world swings back. ABS helps but can't rewrite mass. The body rolls just enough to load and unload the outside rear like a prank. It is not evil. It is literal. Stay inside its window, and it glows. V10 Thunder and heroic stance, the car you drew in school made actual. Step outside in physics audition for the lead role. The romance is the gap between bravery and bandwidth. It seduces with torque, then checks your homework at corner exit, grading on a curve that is mostly the curve you are on. That's why the Viper belongs among the deadliest, not because it hunts you, but because it refuses to dilute the truth. Where others add filters, it adds stripes. The best lap needs humility, warm tires, clean inputs, and respect. The worst day asks only rain and cold rubber. 1965 Shelby Cobra 427. A cigar with seatbelts, equal parts thunder, tin, and optimistic bravado. Power to weight is a prank, the wheelbase is a suggestion, the rear axle is on leaf springs that learn manners from a shopping cart. There are no electronics, no filters, only your right foot negotiating with a big block that does not bargain. On cold cross-ply rubber, it steers like a pub fight. On warm tarmac, it prefers chaos if you breathe off the throttle mid-bend. Brakes fade, pedal grows long, the wind punches your helmet, and side pipes wait to brand the unwary. Get greedy with throttle, and the back steps out with the confidence of a dancer who never met you, then keeps going. Vision is a rumor, bump steer is a hobby, and stability is a mood. Treat it like a toy, and it writes your name in the guardrail. Treat it like a loaded promise, and it becomes holy. Deadliest, because it is pure, honest, and literal, a muscle-bound truth serum that rewards discipline and finds vanity on the spot.